Good evening, everybody. Welcome to week 5 of TGP2 season 31. Tonight, we are heading to Azerbaijan and Spain. As you can see, we are currently underway in this qualifying session around Baku. There's 4.5 minutes to go. And right at the minute, we've got Blair Grills on pole position, just ahead of, quite surprisingly, his qualifying place, Chris Johnson, who's put in a really solid lap at the minute to go into second place. But of course, that could all change in the next few minutes. It's the championship leader, Daniel Wilmot, who is in third place, and he comes into this race with a 5-point gap over Jacko in the championship. But Jacko's not here tonight, so his closest rival will be Dom, who's 19 points back, and then Cena, who is 22 points back. So well, if Dom and Cena struggle tonight, this could be a huge chance for Wilmot to really extend his gap in the championship. So I'm sure Dom and Cena will have something to say about that. Anyway, we see the drivers coming back in the pit lane before they get ready for a final lap. And alongside me in the commentary box is Roy. Good evening, Roy.
Good evening, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, Jacko not being here tonight is obviously great news for Wheelnut, but yeah, surely Dom and Cena really have to capitalise on this opportunity. They've one less title contender around them, so they just need to focus on beating Wheelnut tonight. At the moment, they're not doing that, but we still have a few minutes left in this session, and there is time for another run. And of course, it is Baku, and I have heard that the first half of this race, or at least the start of this race, will be wet, but it is scheduled to stop raining in the middle of the race. So we could be in for a pretty mad one. So it could be a race of attrition when we get to the race.
Yeah, and if we know anything from TGP2, it is always to expect the unexpected around Baku of all places. We always seem to get some sort of crazy results around here. I can't remember, certainly in recent seasons, a wet race in TGP2 around Baku as well to add to that. So it is certainly going to be, and as you say, a wet dry race as well. Just has all the ingredients for hopefully a very, very spicy first race of the night. I'm just watching Cena here. I'm not sure if he's on a lap. I think he is. He's currently in 7th place. He would like to get off the grid a bit further. Just coming around turn 13 now, and let's have a look. Yeah, he's 6/10 up, and it says he's gone purple in the sector. Oh, we got a bit of a swapper on there, and that's where you need to get a good exit, isn't it? Because you carry this now all the way through to the end of the lap. Good run through the final couple of corners, I suppose. Then he'll enable BRS, and it'll be on a drag race to the line, and we'll see if he can get anywhere up the order. You would say he could be heading for pole position if he hasn't lost too much time, and he goes second. Oh, look how close it is between the top three. And Blair Grills is actually retired now, so that's it, he's done for. But there's 28,000 separating the top three.
Yeah, that really should have been provisional pole for Cena there. He's completely messed up that final sector. Kaya retiring from the session. We've got most of the contenders on outlaps. John Menzies has either messed up his... Well, I think he has messed up his lap, and he could be going for another one. Baza jumps himself up into the top 8. I think Joe Sayer perhaps was on a lap, or he's on an in-lap, but he's not going very quick out there. Mac is not improving on his time. So let's see then. I think Cena is very much done for in this session. Chris Johnson, is he getting a tow?
He is. Yeah, he is. I think at the start of the lap he is going to get a big tow. It's going to be Chris Johnson to start his lap first then, in terms of the guys in the top 5. The Chris, Dan, Wheelnut and Dom trio. And he gets a huge slipstream, Chris, at the start of his lap. Let's hope he doesn't go and blow it into turn 1. Oh, well, he hasn't made much connection with the apex there, and he has blown it.
Right.
He's invalidated, and that didn't go well.
No, that was... maybe the less said about that, the better. Didn't really go to plan. Mike Noon is on a lap now. He could spring a surprise. I mean, it's still very close. I mean, there's only 2 tenths separating the top 7. So... Yeah. Mike Noon, very much a contender in the session. He will be the first across the line of himself, Dom and Wheelnut, as most of the drivers have retired from the session. So let's see then what Mike Noon can do in this first sector. Go ahead.
Sorry, can I just say, Bazet is also coming towards the very end of the lap here, and he's going to be the first across the line out of these guys towards the front, and he's nearly 6/10 up, so Bazet also could get himself involved towards the front. And as you say, it is so close right now, especially between, the top 6, I suppose. I think Bazza's about to join the party. Let's see, can he even maybe put it on pole? He does! Bazza puts it on pole with a 40.1.
Well, then, I thought Bazza had already done a lap, and Mike Noon, well, his qualifying is over. His wing is very much gone. So what can Dom Smith do then? Let's see. Hopefully we get a nice off-board shot. He's still in contention here. Mike Noon retires from the sessions, retired on track. Hopefully he will not get in Dom's way.
He crashed at turn 13 there, but there we go. Yeah,
should be
something
fine.
That really has affected Dom. But yeah, it's going to be Dom and then Daniel Peel-Wheelnut then. First and third in the championship. Let's see where they can start in the grid. He's only a tenth and a half up, so that would be good enough for second place right now. But Baz's pole lap seems a bit out of reach unless he has a good exit through there, and he's got enough speed down this final straight.
And of course we have Wheelnut afterwards. Not quite sure what his sector times have been like on this lap, but let's see what Dom Smith can do in the Alpine. It's just these two left in the session, so Dom Smith across the line. And it is the front row for Dom. I think he'll be pretty happy with that. What can Wheelnut do, though? He's 0.4 of a second up on his time after the second sector. So Wheelnut then crosses the line, and it will be pole position.
Oh, last car across the line, and Wheelnut does it then. The championship leader takes pole, and he will be absolutely delighted with that, especially with seeing Dom go up there towards the end as well. So you got Wheelnut on pole, Dom in third place. Bazza though, what a fantastic lap by him, but Wheelnut the only guy to get into the 139s.
So I think the front row are going to be pretty happy with that one. I don't think Dom will be too displeased, although I don't think wet conditions are his forte, so maybe he will be bearing that in mind. And actually, I wonder if any drivers will be prioritising a wet setup in this session. It is possible that we have some drivers on suboptimal setups for qualifying, but could pay dividends. Come the race. And I think the drivers to watch out for in this race will be Parsa, starting from P17. Certainly, he had a qualifying ban for an incident in the previous week, so he'll be starting 17th. Let's see what he can do. And will Cena's starts be as good in the wet as they are in dry conditions? I think that's also something we should be looking out for. But your front row then will be Wheelnut and Bazza, and well, it is precipitating quite heavily.
Very, very heavy, that rain. So is this going to be, do we think this will be full wet, or will this be intermediate? I can't quite see any tyres through the pit boxes there, so not too sure. But as you say, we are expecting it to dry up towards the end of the race. And just having a very quick look at Seriogram's stream, and it is telling him to start on the inters, I believe. So it looks like it's going to be an inter start, but it is going to dry up towards the end, as we thought.
As we get the lights here in Azerbaijan, and they're out, and we are underway. And it's a tentative start from the front row, and Wheelnut nearly loses the car, but just about keeps it under control. And it's brave stuff from Cena, who goes around the outside of several cars. He's already up into the top 3, and we know Cena really enjoys wet conditions, as I thought Dom was going to make a move on the inside. We have carnage at the back. We have McLarens and Aston Martins and Haas's off all over the place. But at the front end, Bazza has got the lead from Daniel Peel-Wheelnut.
Can't believe no one's retired from that, because it was got all a bit crunchy there in the middle. They'll have to sort themselves out here to work out who was ahead at the time. I think we're going to have a few drivers pitting. Chris Johnson's got all sorts of penalties. I think he caused the collision. I don't know if he was the creator of that whole incident, but he's definitely been given some sort of penalty. So the cars then got Bazza in the lead. Wheelnut somehow did not go into the wall. He just avoided it, and Bazza just got ahead, I think, into turn 2 just before that VSC came out. Cena, fantastic launch from him. Mike Noon's also had a great start. John Menzies is in 6th place. Parsa is going up to 7th.
Bazza's out. What's he done?
Did he crash? He's got straight on at turn 7. Well, that is strange. Parsa, by the way, has no front wing, so Parsa's going to have to pit, but do we think maybe, I don't know, if Bazza uses a wheel, could there possibly be some disconnection? Could he just maybe be going a bit too quick through there in the wet conditions through turn 7? Can catch you out sometimes, but he's just crashed out the lead.
Well, how do you go straight on under a safety car when Like, I don't know.
I mean, it could be anything. It could
I
just
didn't
be,
see it. I wasn't expecting a crash from the leader
yeah.
under safety car, to be honest. So I wasn't actually watching.
It could just be a loss of concentration, couldn't it, or something like that. But I think that's the second season in a row around Baku where the leader in TGP2 under a safety car has retired. Because I think Hickman got disqualified, didn't he, last season for overtaking the safety car in Baku. So, unbelievable drama already then. Baza, who was done so well in qualifying, is now out of the race. So, none of these guys are obviously going to pit because they're on the Inters. But who is going to pit? Who's got damage?
Parser.
John's coming in. Parser's definitely going to come in. Look at quite a few people coming in here.
Blair
Grills, Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson stayed out despite the fact he has penalties to save. That's interesting. Surprised by that. Chef comes in, Zafro in. If he's just going to have Neljak's going to make up a lot of positions here. He clearly hasn't got any damage.
Does Mick Schumacher even have damage? Okay, he does.
Yeah, if you avoid the damage here, you are going to make up a lot of positions. Say Sports hasn't got any damage. Although actually it looks like he has, because that's a turn into turn one quite aggressively there. But here come these guys then, all come out of the pit lane. Red Bull came who I noticed has completely stopped on track before making it into turn two, and somehow managed to avoid everything. So he is into 10th place now. So that has totally changed the order.
Yeah, and after all this, Neljak has gained 13 places, going from 19th to 6th. Stereogram's up 9 places, and Mr. John is up 10.
I'm pretty sure Say Sports has got damage. You see the way he's turning some of these corners. I don't know why he hasn't pitted. Just having a look at the...
Or is that, I think that's lag.
He is lagging a little bit as well, isn't he? Yeah, so maybe not then, but...
I was kind of hoping he had damage or lag or something, because otherwise that could have just been very non-complimentary about his driving. But,
yeah, true. Stereogram as well in a very good 7th place. He obviously didn't get any damage there either, but I just wonder, because obviously we've seen the message pop up earlier because Johnson had a penalty.
Yeah, why is he not pitted? Maybe he doesn't feel like he's responsible, because he has 10 seconds. He could have pitted on both of these laps and avoided...
Maybe, well, I mean, when he pits, he's going to have to get rid of one of the penalties at some stage. Obviously, if it stays wet throughout, then he could get through the entire race on Inters and then appeal the penalty. Yeah, and get them both removed. But he has got 2 to save. So he obviously does not want to save them right now, and he would, because if it does go to dry tyres, he would have to save it then. So not great for Chris Johnson. I suppose he'll now be hoping then for the race to stay wet throughout, but of course this safety car just prolongs the duration of the race and makes it makes the dry weather arrive a little bit quicker, you would imagine.
Yeah, so hopefully then we don't get any more safety cars later on in the race, because I want to see the crossover point happen. And it's not raining anywhere near as heavily as it was at the start of the race. It is still raining, but to me it looks like it is raining not as much. But
Shepard coming back in the pit lane here. I'm pretty sure he pitted on the previous lap, so maybe if he's hit the wall or something. And he is also out. And he's also got a bit more of damage. But I'd love to know what happens to Baza. I need to try and send him a message or something to see if we can figure out exactly how he managed to go straight on there. Hopefully we'll get to find out.
Shep did replace his front wing, so yeah, he must have hit the wall under the safety car. Despite all of this, Parsa has still gained 4 places. Despite losing a swing and pitting to replace it. Yes, the biggest losers then, well, obviously Baza. Shep down 9 places. Blair Grills has fallen down 8 places. So, all changed then in the field.
So it is the... obviously, as you said, we have not got no Jacko tonight. Sadly, he is second in the championship, but we do have first, third, and fourth in the championship, all in the top 3 right now. But it's the championship leader who is out in front, and for the guys behind them, for Cena and Dom, he must be stopped somehow. How are they going to try and get past? We'll have to find out. Looks like Indecisive had a bit of an instance here, and has got a bit of front wing damage, has he? Looks like he might have hit the wall. So, and that's not good considering the safety cars are about to come in this lap, and he's definitely got end plate damage, I think, indecisive.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's not good at all for him. He'll have to come in and get that changed, because he could stay out if he wants to. It wouldn't be very helpful. Anyway, yeah, this should be the lap. I get the safety car coming in, and of course, always very tricky to judge safety car restarts around here. Let's see how Wheelnut does it.
In the wet.
Exactly, yeah, and it's in the wet as well.
So let's see then, we're on board with Cena, probably the best, most reliable camera angle, because sometimes the off-boards are not the best. And we'll look behind you, for example. But anyway, let's see how Wheelnut judges this. He is weaving around, so trying to disguise when he decides to floor it. Cena staying pretty calm behind the Mercedes driver. Dom just wants the run, I think.
Quite a way back, Dom, yeah.
And he's gone for it now. And Dom, did he react to it well? He did a little bit. He is closing in, so he probably would have been better off just staying closer to them. But Wheelnut then, he executes that well, pretty much as well as you can do around Baku. And yeah, Dom just has been caught napping there as they both go quite deep. Oh, there's debris flying around in the background.
To Williams.
And it is a Williams of Mike Noon. Don't know what he's hit, but there's definitely some car damage for somebody back there.
Stereogram has gone for a great move. Stereogram's up into 5th place right now. And has he got Mr. John alongside him? He has. So it's going to be a bit of a drag race, I think, between those two. But Chris Johnson's gaining on Dom here. I think Mike Noon tried to make a move on Chris Johnson. It didn't work, because they were right alongside each other. Mr. John and Stereogram going for 5th place. And Mr. John gets ahead.
It all felt a bit argy-bargy there. It didn't seem like the contact was quite necessary. But Stereogram then still running in the top 6, so still a great showing from him. And Dom does not like wet conditions, does he? He is falling behind the top 2 here. He's already nearly 3 seconds back on the top 2. Wheelnut, though, he's looking pretty comfortable out there. I was expecting Cena to close in on Wheelnut, because we've seen time and time again how Cena loves wet conditions. But maybe he's gone for a dry setup. Maybe he's looking to have the speed later on in the race and hope that it dries and we go on to slicks. But Chris Johnson is the one applying the pressure to Dom here. He's nearly 4 seconds back on Cena already.
Yeah, indecisive on the crash, but he hasn't DNF'd, but he is facing the wrong way. I'm surprised he hasn't caused any VSC, but we're on lap 4 then, and it's unbelievable watching the cars try and filter through that middle sector. Oh, Stereogram's hit the wall. That's such a shame for him, and he surely will have damage from that. And it actually might be worth watching Stereogram here as he tries to get through the next few corners. But actually, we've got a virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car, not entirely sure what for.
It must be for the debris.
Yeah.
It must be for the debris. It has to be. But yeah, I mean, it really is like watching F1 in slow motion here. The car is trying to get the way through the corners around such a tight track in these wet conditions. But we'll see if anybody does come in. Is Stereogram going to pit? No, maybe Stereogram didn't get damage from that then when he clouded the wall. Say Sports is coming in.
I mean, by the rate this race is going, you're better off just keeping it on the track. But yeah, so Stereogram then, despite all of that, still runs.
Parser back in as well.
In the top 6. Parser pits yet again. Okay, so the pit lane will be charging him rent soon. But Stereogram's out.
And it's a full safety car now because of that. That's the latest I've ever seen one of the VSCs turn into a full safety car, and that's because Stereogram crashed during the VSC deployment. And a few other drivers coming in the pit lane. Now look at the safety car in the middle of the pack here of the cars exiting the pit lane, basically directly behind the safety car on the pit exit. And I hope he doesn't crash into it here. Oh, I thought he did then, as Red Bull Kim's gone off as well. There's Stereogram's damage. Chaos right now here in Baku. But another safety car and a drive-through for Taylor Sports' speed, and that was because he was coming off the pit lane and he probably didn't realise there was a delta.
Well, thankfully the safety car is letting the drivers through there, and Mike Noon was eager to get past it as quickly as possible. Not that it would have actually made any difference to his race, but anyway, as indecisive Mackie passes the stricken Alfa Romeo.
Well, we expect chaos, and that is exactly what's happening. As we knew this was going to be crazy, but I tell you what. Has it stopped raining?
I was just about to say, yeah, it's definitely looking a bit drier. We may have to start putting the tyre graphic up on the screen, because this could be tough here. It's still obviously way too wet for slicks, but could you pit under safety car and just kind of hope you can hang on for a lap or two after it comes in, and then it'll come to you?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be making the wrong tyre choice around Baku. We've seen how difficult it is to get round, especially the middle sector. You will be disastrous if you make the wrong choice here. Is anyone going to come in? Is Wheeler going to come in? No. Cena doesn't come in either. Dom's going to stay out as well. So at the minute, it looks like everybody is going to stay out on track then. And obviously, we're not going to find out if when DRS gets enabled for obvious reasons. Taylor's got another drive.
How have you got?
What the hell is he playing at?
It's just Kaya coming into the pits.
He must just be getting distracted or something, says Sports. Because
Kaya's
that's another. Kaya coming in then. Now, is that for damage or is that for possibly dry tyres? But say Sports is going to have to save 2 drive-throughs here. And he can't do it during the safety cars.
Oh,
we
look
found
at
out
this.
yesterday, of course, with CJH. And
softs.
Kaya is going on the soft tyres. He's going to be the first guy to do it and the only guy, it looks like, on this lap to do it.
Let's see, we have 3 more to make that decision. Red Bull Kim decides, no, that's ludicrous. Mike Noon not feeling it either. Will indecisive Mackie decide to do it? He's kind of halfway across the line. He's indecisive going into the pits, but in the end, he is pitting. And well, let's see what he goes for. I mean, who knows? He could have damage, but we shall see. Mechanics slightly late to the call. It's slicks.
It still looks like Say Sports has got damage, you know. It's just the way he's turning into some of these corners, and I hope I'm not like criticising his driving, but it really does look like the way. He's just got the most unbelievable understeer going into some of these corners. But let's see, he's still quite a fair way behind the rest of the field as well. It's going to take a while for the cars to punch up. I think we're going to have another full lap, aren't we, a safety car for this. But how's Kaya getting on these dry tyres? Not well, I think, would be the answer, because Red Bull Kim and Mike Noon have caught right up to him here, and obviously they can't overtake. And it must be getting very frustrating, this, for Mike Noon especially.
Let's have a look here. Is he actually catching the leader? The gap's 41.6, 41.5. He's slightly catching. He's not catching him quick enough. He's at the moment struggling to catch the safety car. Now he does have the advantage of that really long straight plus another lap, and obviously Wilnut will have to back the pack up a little bit, but he may just about catch him. And the fact that he is catching him, and he's in control of the car, so
yeah,
Mackie's catching them a good bit quicker, I think.
Yeah, Mackie's all by himself. He's also going to have to try and catch up.
Or maybe not.
Oh, it's yeah, he's getting a bit squiggly there around turn 10, 11. So it's going to take a while for these cars to catch up. Although, as you say, Kaya now does have this entire back tail, unless of course he decides to go and put the inters back on. But now he's stuck to his decision now, and he's not going to change.
There. Oh, and Mackie's hit the wall.
Oh, he's slip sliding all over the place here.
He's damaged that, surely. Is that a bit of the end plate missing? Actually, do you know what? He's got more of the car intact than what I thought he would. But I don't know. He's going to have to catch up. Like Mackie has well over a minute to catch up, or to close in by. And I just don't really know. Kaya, to be fair to him, he's 22 seconds back. It was 41.
He's got a bit deep there.
Oh, hopefully
I
that's
don't know if he got damage.
No. Oh dear. Oh, and Mike Noon can't pass him because he's recovered. Oh, well, he can pass him now.
Again.
Well,
it was brave joy. Oh no, he hasn't let him back
Mike
through.
Noon's not allowed to.
He obviously wasn't sufficiently
dear.
off the track enough for that. And Kai's got no front wing now, so Mike Noon's going to be desperate for Kai to have another incident.
Oh, there we go. There it is. Yeah. Okay,
no,
Mike, just go through. Yeah.
Surely.
How is he doing that?
Issue for that. What did he do?
So Kaya just teleported from one side of the track to the other. I don't know if there's a reset to track button.
I just thought that was switched off, but
yeah, so did I.
Not. But
anyway.
Here we go then. I assume this is going to be the restart.
So do I, yeah. We do actually have a race going on, other than, you know, whether these guys can catch up to the train. So let's see. We should get the message now, and indeed
Yeah.
we do. So,
well, whoever the race director is these days, obviously has had enough of waiting for Kyle and indecisive, which, you know, whoever's not got COVID or whatever. And we're about to get underway for lap 8 then of this race. We're only going to have 5 laps to go after this. Now, is it going to dry up? Is anyone going to put dry tyres on now? Who's going to try and stay out all the way? Chris Johnson's still got those 2 penalties, remember, so surely he is going to have to try and stay out all the way. And when will Daniel Wheelnut drop it? Is he going to go for it? So I think it's a little bit later on, isn't it, that he went for it last time. Pack are beginning to close in. Dom's not hanging back as much as he did on the last time around. But he has got Chris Johnson and Mr. John right on him, and Wheelnut's gone.
Wheelnut has gone, and he's judged that very well. Cena not reacting as quickly as he would have liked. But top 3 as you were, but I think we have some side-by-side action further behind. I thought the Williams of Neljak was interested in Mr. John there, but in the end doesn't pass him as Cena goes quite deep and doesn't get a great exit. In fact, yeah, he's really messed up turn 2 there, and Wheelnut is already 1.6 seconds clear. Dom Smith then. Dom Smith still not really having a great safety car restart, and you know what? I think he will be very thankful for these safety cars, because, or you know, any driver who doesn't tend to excel in wet conditions will be loving this. As Chris Johnson a bit afraid of the apex of turn 4 there. I'll just switch the interval time.
It's once again, they're just crawling around this middle sector. Chef is actually doing quite well. Chef's made up 2 positions, I think, on this restart. Gets past Mick Schumacher now. So Chef's had an excellent restart, and he's going to be closing in, you would imagine, on John Menzies anytime soon. Neljak also, of course, doing well, staying in that 6th place, but the Wheelnut's 2.2 seconds ahead already here. And we've got another yellow flag. That's indecisive again, is it? It is indecisive again. He's still on those soft tyres, trying to brave it out. But we're watching Chris Johnson now, who's closing in on Dom, because the top 2 have begun to pull away.
Mr. John there getting very twitchy in that middle sector there, and I think Dom has slight contact with the wall. Chris Johnson very squirrely on the exit. Now, of course, there will be no DRS enabled here, and it does look as if it may just about be inters until the end. You know, you kind of want to be pitting maybe, I'd say, lap 11 at the latest, if even, because you will gain a lot of time.
Just wondering if Chris Johnson, I don't know if he tapped the wall, but I think he might have just got away with it. Got John Menzies, he'll be getting close to Neljak. Now Neljak's pulled away a little bit now down the straight. So it looks like it's all as you were at the moment. Though Parsons going for Zafro, but Zafro's going to come back at him. They're going to be side by side, and contact is made, and Zafro just saves it. Then he slides about a bit, loses a couple more positions, 3 more positions, and is down to 12th then. Parset up into 9th now, and Mr. John trying to get in the slipstream of Chris Johnson. He's going to go 5th place. Neljak behind in 6th place. 4 laps to go in this, and it's really just trying to survive.
Yeah, they're still tiptoeing around the place, because it does look as if it's, well, it's certainly drier than it once was. I'm not really seeing any spray being kicked up, but the track will still, of course, be quite damp, and I don't think it's quite ready for slicks, but I don't think we're too far off. Obviously, we don't really have access to what the engineers have access to, so we can't be asking for weather reports, but we can only act on what we see. But it definitely is not as wet as it once was on that track.
Yeah, without a doubt. But Mick Schumacher nearly losing it at the exit turn 7 there, and again, so slidey going through turn 8. This is incredible stuff to watch this. But Neljak now right on the back of Mr. John. And it just seems around about this 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th place, it might all start to kick off anytime soon. Neljak on the brakes here. And can he possibly fancy a go down this straight on Mr. John? There's every chance. Whoa, Williams got massively out of shape there. It was Mike Moon nearly dropped it, but just about survived. And here they come then. It's about to approach the back straight now. And if Neljak can get a good run for these 2 corners, Mr. John thought he was going to go into the wall there. Neljak has a decent run through there. Cena's closed right back in on Wheelnut, by the way. 7/10 is now the gap. Has somebody hit the wall? Got a yellow flag out. I think it's Jeff's hit the wall.
Yeah.
But
Neljak right on the back of Mr. John. Mr. John not really putting up too much of a fight there. Perhaps hoping it's more. Whoa! As Neljak completely misses the corner.
Oh.
And, well, that's him losing quite a few positions there. Was battling for the top 5, now finds himself in 10th. Thankfully didn't cause any damage to Chris Johnson ahead, as we see Blair Grills and Mike Noon. That may have been possibly a late move there from Mike. It's allowing his teammate Neljak to go for a move on the McLaren. Will he decide to do it? No, he won't. Learning his lesson there. He's a bit more tentative on the brakes. Alex Zaffro there. I don't know if he was trying to overtake or if he was just trying to avoid the car ahead. But Mr. John then is all over the back of Chris Johnson as we have another retirement from the race. It is M. Shep at turn number 1. But Mr. John then, is he going to make a move into the hairpin? I don't think he will.
Oh, Mike Noon spun. Mike Noon's gone for a spin. And he was in 8th place. He's having to fight his way back through, of course, after going off earlier. But now he's down to 11th. He has recovered, though. But back at the front, it's still 1.2 seconds now, so we're not extending his lead a little bit more.
Still, if you're going to pit for slicks, it has to be this lap or next. But I just don't think it's quite ready. So I think you'll be able to stay out on inters and, you know, not lose enough time, and you'll be able to stay ahead. That's damage then, certainly for Chris Johnson up ahead. And I think that's actually quite a good bit of damage as well. Definitely saw the debris. Yeah, look at that. I don't know what he's going to do here. This is very difficult situation to judge here, because Mr. John, he's going to have to decide when to back off here. And John Menzies,
look at John Menzies getting him
just squeezed through. Wow. Okay, so John Menzies then goes up into the top 4, and you know what, if I was Chris Johnson in the situation, I would as we see Mick Schumacher then passing his teammate Mr. John for a top 5 place then, so Mick Schumacher up into 5th. And if I was Chris Johnson, you know, I would stick on slicks.
Put dry tyres on. Yeah,
there we
but
go.
Of course, don't forget, he's still got to check. He's got to save the 5-second penalty as well.
Thankfully,
and he's got another one after that.
Mike Noon and Blair Grills have pitted as well, so we could see these two drivers go on a charge. I mean, we could still see Chris Johnson go on a bit of a charge, but it won't be as much, because 5-second penalty and a wing change is certainly not going to help his cause. But let's see how these drivers get on then. I may have to switch the... oh no!
What's happened?
Mike's gone straight into the wall.
Oh, has he got damage?
Probably.
He's got end plate damage.
Yeah.
He's got end plate damage.
Okay, I'm going to change the detail, or not the detail, the gap to from interval to leader, and we'll see if Blair Grills, don't hit the wall, please. I want to see if this works. Blair Grills is currently 44.4 seconds off. He's gaining, he's matching them, I would say.
Joe Sayer's gone down the straight route as well there on the dry tyres as well then. So dry tyres not working entirely immediately for these guys who've just put them on. But surely now, if you're on the inters, you're going to have to just stay on them. As John Menzies is clutching up to Dom, but he nearly hit the wall there. I'll tell you what, there's a chance for Menzies to get a podium here, because Dom is 10 seconds back from Cena and Wheelnut right now.
So will he decide to pit? There's only 2 laps left.
Yeah, there's no... Surely... Oh, he's hit the wall! Menzies hit the wall. He made that move on the previous lap, but now has he got damage? I can't tell, because that my camera view is showing an aerial shot.
Yeah, it's too far away.
Has he got that? Well, I don't think he has got damage. It's not visible.
It's not going to be disastrous damage. I mean, he's nearly 3 seconds clear of Marco behind him, so he can probably afford to stay out. But Blair Grills has caught up about 3 seconds so far, but that's not really enough. He's passed Mike Noon. He's probably held up a little bit by Mike Noon, actually, as Chris Johnson now passes the Williams, recovering from his damage and penalty. But the thing is, down the straight, you're not really going to gain much, because of the
Mike Noon's got back through. Mike Noon's got back through with the DRS, so he's got front wing damage, but he's just hampered Chris Johnson's race even further, because he's now got back through and he's going straight on, and surely Chris Johnson will not get through it. Yes, he does. So what can Blair Grills do then on the soft tyres? Because there's really no point in anybody else pitting now at this stage, and it looks as though he might get through this on the inters, which is quite incredible, really, considering 5 seconds though now is the lead that Wheelnut has over Cena. as just watching to see at Zafra right on the back of Neljak. That's the closest battle on track right now. John is again through the middle sector. He seems to gain on Dom.
Oh, that's a lunge from Zafro there. It was a bit too optimistic, and thankfully they're both still in the race. Don't think Zafra picked up any damage from that, so we should be okay, as there's a lot of understeer from that Williams up ahead. And clearly a good bit more pace in the Alfa Romeo compared to the Williams side by side through here. Not something we often see, but I think Neljak relinquishes that position fairly easily, and surely won't go for any kind of move through here. Indeed he won't. Of course DRS is enabled.
Someone's hit the wall there. There's a lot of debris on the track there. I don't know who that is, but somebody obviously collapsed that wall. Just trying to see if it could be. I think it might be John. Yeah, he's dropped right back. He's got no front wing, and he was making some great inroads on it on the back ahead, but now he's got no front wing, and it's the last lap. So will he just try and get through it? You would imagine he probably will, but Mick Schumacher's coming for him.
He is indeed. He's got the DRS wide open. John Menzies wisely does not defend the position, or well, maybe he does, but he will not be able to defend that one for too much longer. So he drops to 5th. Now, can he retain a top 6 placement? Because surely Mr. John will be right on the back of him, and to be honest, Safra will as well, I think. Blair Grills, by the way, is now only 31 seconds off the lead. He is clearly the quickest driver right now.
He's got Chris Johnson right behind him, and Chris Johnson, I mean, if these two start
maybe
battling,
not actually, yeah.
If they start battling, they just lose time with each other, of course. But Chris Johnson now does get through, and does he go deep into turn 3? No, he doesn't. So he's 4 seconds behind Neljak. I tell you what, now can Chris Johnson, where can he work his way up through to here? Because he could possibly get into 6th, 5th. John in the wall, Menzies in the wall again, which just holds up all these guys, John and Zafro. Chris Johnson, he could get up to 5th here, you know.
He might, yeah. He just now this is a horrible place to catch. Just about no contact made, to be fair. It's just about legitimate, but this is a horrible place to catch a car on the wrong tyres with no wing.
This is an amazing final lap for Chris Johnson. He's going to go around the outside here. He's got no front wing.
Around an understeering car,
but he gets through, and Menzies is in the wall now.
Not a whole lot he can really do there, because Chris Johnson gave him the room, and well, I mean, it does look like Chris Johnson will be able to get top 5 on the road, and Blair Grills possibly could follow him. Look at this, look at the traction difference.
He just drives through. He might still get Mick Schumacher.
Let's watch Blair Grills then, because I think he might be the driver of interest.
Wheelnut wins.
Wheelnut wins in Baku. It's a fantastic drive from the Mercedes driver.
Chris Johnson's hit the wall. He just got away with it.
Chris Johnson in the wall, and can Blair Grills then, in a drag race to the line past Alex Zafro? You'd imagine he can. He's going to run out of deployment, but he will of course have DRS, and indeed he breezes past, and Blair Grills then will take P5 after all of that because of Chris Johnson's penalties. Now, I mean, whether or not they'll be appealed at the end, I don't know, because he did pick up 2 at once, and you know, the penalties can be quite random. Although I think one of them was for speeding under safety car, or speeding under yellow flag, which you can't really do. Parsa picks up your fastest lap in P12. He will get the extra point for that. Mick Schumacher then Sayer Sports picks up the final point and the fastest lap point. But Marco in 4th. Not entirely sure we expected that at the start, but great drive from him then, avoiding all of the drama. And
Chris Johnson didn't nearly get Marco at the end, but like I said, he hit the wall. He's come through that final corner. I thought he was going to DNF, but he didn't. So Chris Johnson finished across the line in 5th place, didn't he? But is being classified as 8th, because of that 5-second penalty. Yeah, so he's going to have to somehow appeal that, and he'll be going to the stewards. He'll be saying, I'm just a normal man, just an innocent man, and he'll try and get that penalty removed as they wait for indecisive to cross the line.
And well, he always says consistency is his strongest attribute, and I think it's shown today, because Dom Smith, despite having nowhere near the level of pace of the top 2, somehow has clung on to a podium. Mr. John picking up your driver of the day, but well, I think I'd say Wheelnut's probably the driver of the day, really. no drama at the front. Lost the lead initially, but then of course Baza, you did wonder how much of a factor he could have played in this race. But Wilna, once he retook that lead after Baza's crash, never really looked under any kind of pressure.
Well, what an incredible race. Top three then make the podium without making a pit stop. But then you have Mick Schumacher who made one, and Blair Gills made 3 stops and comes home in 5th. Staffrow 1 stop 6th, Mr. John no stop 7th. And look at the fastest lap times all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, we have Red Bull came with a 2-minute 1, finishing ahead of the driver with a 1:43.
Yeah, and of course Motorsports had to save those 2 drive-throughs as well, didn't he? So where could they have finished if he didn't have to have those drive-throughs that he got?
Both of them,
yeah. The safety car, yeah. So, as always, TGP2 in Baku is as bonkers as you could imagine, but for the championship leader, what he's actually done is he's turned up in Baku and he's extended his lead.
I didn't think you could get 2 drive-throughs in a single race, but well, turns out you can. Well, time to catch your breath.
Yeah, so it's Wheelnut's going to be on 145 points now. Dom will be on 116 and Cena will be on 116 as well, I think. Yeah, he will. He will be on 116 as well. So 145 and then both Dom and Cena on 116, and obviously Jacko, who's not here, on 115.
I mean, I think Dom and Cena kind of did all they could do. You know, they avoided all of the drama, but at the end of the day, they just didn't have the pace.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's coming up next then. We have a slightly more track that I suppose the drivers are slightly more comfortable with driving around, and that is, of course, the fantastic Spain. I'll say fantastic, I think people would argue with that, but always in TGP2 we always get good races wherever we go, and that race will be getting underway in a few moments. Will we have even more rain possibly tonight?
Of course, Catalonia changed their circuit configuration, which was not reflected by Codemasters for this game, but to be honest, I actually prefer the old turn 10. I think the new one is just a bit unnecessary, but well, too late to revert it now, I suppose. The money's been spent, but I prefer the old turn 10. I think it gave you slightly more of an overtaking opportunity, because I don't think in the Grand Prix last year we actually saw any overtakes into that corner.
Yeah, but there we go then. About to head on over to Barcelona. Of course, there is another big sporting event taking place in Spain, in Madrid right now. It's no change in that scoreline if you would like a football update 5 minutes in. But we are focused on the other main event in Spain over in Barcelona for this race in Catalonia, and the drivers will be, well, they'll be on that current screen at the minute where it tells you about what tyres to choose, or of course you can't actually choose them, you just press X, and then we will be underway for this qualifying session.
A feature which of course was only brought in because of Breaking Point, which people played for about 17 minutes and then gave it up.
I think that is literally how long I played it for, yeah, to be honest. But I don't know if you've seen the footage that was released. I think it might have been leaked, really, of the track around Miami on the F1 2022 game, which came out a few hours ago. Somehow people have been posting clips, but I don't think they were supposed to go up just yet. But the track looks fantastic, I have to say. And looking forward to racing around that. Of course, that will be in the next TGP1 season, and TGP2 as well, of course. And really looking forward to trying that track out.
Not sure I agree, but it does look like another Vietnam.
Do you think? I really don't think it doesn't look like Vietnam to me.
It's not as bad, but like it just looks like it's an arrow in all the wrong places. I mean, some bits were kind of unavoidable, I guess, because I think it goes under like a motorway bridge or something.
It
But
does, yeah.
which kind of makes you think, well, why put the track there in the first place? But anyway, I'll see. I'll reserve total judgment for now, but my initial thoughts are perhaps not entirely positive. But they'll never live up to the modern greats like Baku.
Yeah. Just looking at Stereogram's live stream once again, and I can see that there is a 22% chance of rain for the race. It does say it's going to be dry, but 22% chance. So, I mean, it's an 88%. No, it's not an 88% chance. It's a 78% chance that it won't rain. But you never know.
Yeah, I mean, Spain can be a little bit unpredictable. I think we have only an approximate weather prediction, so the drivers will have to react to what they see. Basil looks pretty keen to pass these drivers ahead of him, but I don't think he's actually planning on overtaking them. It's an Alfa Romeo, and I believe a Haas. So the Haas is now dropped behind. So is that Zafro or is that Stereogram? It is Stereogram, so Basil may want to give himself a bit of a wider berth than that. I think he's going to start this lap a bit too close behind Stereogram, if I'm honest.
It can be quite difficult to track cars sometimes to, with the curbs, sometimes be a bit of a challenge. Certainly we've seen that in Spa, yes, in TGP1, but around here as well, turn 2, turn 9 sometimes, I think turn 11, if you get on the bump, the curbs can be a bit difficult, and also the final chicane, the curbs can be a little bit lethal as well, which certainly adds to the challenge.
Baza finds out all about those curves at turn 2. His lap is ruined. He's still in the session though, thankfully for him. But,
and he was on the medium tyres as well there first time. Oh, Mick Schumacher's lost it as well at turn 2. He's also on the medium tyres, so medium tyre drivers struggling at the moment to get round the track and to avoid those lethal curves.
I don't know why they're so bad. Like, the mind boggles. But anyway, hopefully that has been addressed by the people who need to address it, and hopefully that will be fixed in time for F1 22, of course, coming out on the 1st of July. But back to the present, and we'll see who the first driver to cross the line is. I think it may actually be Stereogram in the Alfa Romeo. Indeed it will. His lap is valid, so it will count, and Stereogram sets the initial benchmark, which is immediately beaten by Red Bull Kim and Chris Johnson. So
and about to be Wheelnut.
Well, the other guys can't catch a break here. They need to up their game potentially, but of course it is just the opening few laps of the session, and there's plenty of time to be found out there, I'm sure, for most drivers. As we see a spin at turn 2. Turn 2, I think, is, well, there you go, Dom Smith, P1, yeah. 3/10 of a second. But yeah, turn 2 at this game, or on this track on this game, it just feels unnecessarily dangerous.
And Dom's lost the car on his in lap, and he's out! He's out the session! And just as you say that, you're just talking about turn 2, and literally we go and see one of the championship contenders on an in lap, I assume, because he wasn't pushing. He's out.
Like, why has turn 2 become one of the most precarious corners on the entire calendar?
But the thing is you can actually ride the curves, but you have to like jump on top of the curve. You can't just like have a bit of your tyre straddling it. You have to be like fully on the curve, and you can actually get through the corner and gain time. But it is really difficult to do because, of course, if you get it wrong, you just go straight into the wall.
And to rub salt into the wounds, Wheelnut went for another lap and has just picked Dom for P1, and will be top ninth man in this session. Mick Schumacher travelling at about -3 miles an hour. Don't know why he's backed off there. Don Menzies then crosses the line to set a lap that doesn't count because it was invalid.
Just go on board here with Neljak a minute in 5th place. And you'll see here as he comes in. Now, if you clout the curb on the entry, which obviously he didn't do there, if you get your left over even onto the blue bit of the tarmac, you can gain so much time and not lose the car. And that's actually what Alex Afro has just done, but he's done it a bit too much and he invalidated it.
Let's see then which drivers are still on laps. We've had some invalidations, we've had some spins, so some drivers are fairly out of sync here. I don't think
Cena
on a lap. Cena, he should be on a lap, and indeed he is, and he stopped himself into P4. So decent benchmark so far, decent banker lap I should say. Hopefully, for his sake, we'll be further uphill. Joe Sayer was on another lap and he popped himself up into P4.
So Cena will know then that all he has to do is just go 3 tenths quicker and he will be ahead of the guy who's currently tied in 2nd place in the championship. Because of course we know John will not be improving in this session, but he's really got to try and close in on Wheelnut Ammonby. Is Wheelnut going to win both races tonight, you wonder, to extend his championship lead even further? That would be quite a result for the Mercedes driver, and we'll see if anyone can stop him. Alex Afro has gone for a spin at the end of the lap, and you would assume he's going to cut across the chicane there and come straight into the pit lane.
I think Mick Schumacher may be on the lap here on the medium tyres. Currently in last place, so all he needs to do is set a lap to move himself up into at least 14th. Indeed he will cross the line and set a valid lap, and it takes him to a provisional P12.
Well done for Mick Schumacher. That's a really strong result last time in Baku then, as a lot of the drivers back in the pit lane now with 10 minutes to go, and they'll be getting ready to come back out for another go at it. Blue Girls in a solid 2nd place. It is really close between the top 3. Very, very close, but of course, Blue Girls just 4 thousandths ahead of Dom. But you would assume Blue Girls will eventually go quicker in the session, we think. Just watching Shep here, who I think had a good start in Baku. We got caught up in that instance and had a good safety car restart as well, but also got caught up in a few instances and sadly couldn't get the result he was hoping for. But he's shown some occasional nice bits of pace throughout the season, but sometimes just doesn't come together for him. Hopefully eventually he can change that and he can be up fighting at the front of the field. Let's see if he's making any improvements here at the end of the 2nd sector. He's actually nearly 6, just over 6 tenths up. So I tell you what, if you keep this pace up here, he could be looking at the top 3 here potentially.
So let's see then through the final few frustrating corners of this circuit and this chicane, which isn't really necessary, I've got to say. I think they should find a way of removing it, but anyway, round the final corner, easily flat then. The Haas driver M. Shep crosses the lines, provisional pole.
He's put it on pole. Now this could Shep get a fantastic result here. He's 2 tenths clear of Wheelnut at the front.
Well, I can tell you Chris Johnson won't be dethroning him just yet. His lap is invalid. We've got Indecisive Mackie rounding the final corner. So let's see then what he can do. He crosses the line and stays 11th, finds a large chunk of time, but with no real gain. Now, is this Wheelnut about to start a lap? Indeed it is. So we'll see what the Mercedes driver can do. Is there anyone who's further along?
I think, Mike Noon, bear in mind that Shepard's pole lap, his first sector was 22.0. Mike Noon just set at 21.7 first sector. So Mike Noon is looking pretty good here. I don't know if he invalidated early on or something because he hasn't got a lap on the board yet. Mick Schumacher has crashed out. I think he's gone over that bump, which Mike Noon is about to approach here as he comes round turn 10, and if you look to the left you'll see Mick Schumacher off the road, and Mike Noon has not joined them, and it's looking tidy, it's looking steady for Mike Noon, and if he can just get through these final chicane without invalidating, He could be about to go to the top. Ooh, a bit wide.
Yeah, he's messed the first part of that up just about, keeps it valid on the exit of the chicane. But let's see then, Mike Noon crosses the line. It's going to easily be provisional pole to 17.6 for Mike Noon. We've got Wheelnut in the final sector. He's messed his lap up, so he'll have to go again. Blair Grills crossed the line. He's now up into the top 4. Sayers Sports.
Cena,
what's he done?
He went for a
dear.
spin, but he reversed the car into the wall, so he might have picked up some rear wing damage there. But you can actually, if you pit during the qualifying session, your rear wing damage, luckily for him, does disappear. So he might just about get away with that as Chris Johnson leaps up into second.
Chris Johnson then keeping it all together, which I think for this circuit is quite important. It is difficult to nail a lap around here because we see a lot of crashes, invalidations, and well, Sayers Sports using a lot of curb there. That can unsettle the car and cause it to pivot. But as he nearly pivots around turn 13, he does the chicane quite nicely, clips both apexes as he would have liked. So Sayers Sports then in the Aston Martin crosses the line. Where can he end up? It is P4 for now. Wheelnut's gone again. He is down in that first sector, and it's 22.1 in that first sector. So his first sector time was only at 22.0 as well.
Here's Blair Grills.
And
4.
Cena goes again. Wheelnut then, he's found time in the middle sector then, so Wheelnut clearly has a good bit of time left in him and should easily be able to find himself into the top 3 if he can nail a lap. Does he have enough time? The yellow flag thing is kind of covering up the info we need, but he decides to come into the pits. He's easily
just
got enough
under
time.
just under 6 minutes to go, but Cena went a bit wide on turn 3, but he was only 2,000ths off his first sector time, despite running slightly wide, so there's definitely time to find for Cena. But I'm just wondering if he has got rear wing damage, if he might have been better off just pitting straight away there. He obviously wants to try and get a lap in, and he probably would be able to finish this lap and then get into pit lane, as John puts a 1:17.661 in, almost taking pole.
So John Menzies then, a potential pole position contender, well, certainly going by that lap, and he should have time to come into the pits and go for another run. Cena may be cutting it tight, but I think he'll have enough time, Cena, so we should have one more run. Improves his time, not his position then. Cena could be a bit disappointed with P9 if it were to end that way, which it may necessarily do. Baza is still on mediums. Mediums which are going to be very worn by the end of this session, but he's comfortable enough anyway. He's not pushing right now.
Surely he's
what the strategy.
Surely he's going to pit here and put dry tyres on, soft tyres on. And he comes. So Dom crashed out then early on in the session, of course, and he is in 8th place right now. And Cena, who's tied on points in the championship with, is still only in 9th, but he definitely has time in there. And Wheelnut, of course, invalidates the last time round, so he is down in 7th right now. So it's all going to be to play for in these final runs, and we'll see how much Wheelnut can improve.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time, so if he does mess up his first lap, he'll be able to go again. So Wheelnut then potentially 2 more laps yet to set. M-Shep was on a lap, but it is invalid, so he may be going to the pits.
He's coming in.
He'll have time, I think. He'll be fine.
He will, yeah. Well, he should just about have enough time. But I don't know where he can start anyway. He's in an excellent 4th place right now, and if he can get one final great lap in, he can make a seriously good position on the grid. As Alex After has put in a 21.9 first sector, and that's quicker than what some of the guys in the front managed to achieve. He's invalidated.
I think M-Shep may have just been better off, like, just going for the lap there and then.
Maybe he didn't have the fuel.
Perhaps, yeah. He tends to be fueled, like, fairly okay around here, though, because it is a pretty short lap. And it's not very long, but, let's see, who have we got on laps? I think that's their sports. Oh, as Meljack nearly goes for a spin at turn number 7. Still pushing though, by the looks of it. Yes, indeed he is. DRS is open, so will he improve at the end of the second sector? He's basically matched his previous lap time. He's already a good bit off. Oh, that's not going to help. And he backs off.
So the guys then towards the front are about to start their next runs here. Wheelnut, in fact, already has started when he's 6/10 up on this lap, and he hasn't invalidated then. So where can he get up to here? He's going to get through the final tricky chicane. Hip's got going to hip. Hop, skip and a jump
there
over the chicane. Flat out to the line, the DRS open, and he goes on to pole. A 117.397.
So great stuff there from Daniel P. Wheelnut. It's exactly what he needs. Dom Smith's currently down in 8th. Cena is 9th, although Cena is on an outlap. Slayer Sports crosses the second sector line. He's 6,000ths of a second up, so unless he completely messed up his final sector in his previous lap, I don't think he's going to be challenging for pole position, but he should be on for a solid result nonetheless. I don't think anyone else is in that final sector.
Mike Muir set a decent first sector, but then he went invalidated, so he's gonna, and he backed off immediately, so he's gonna hopefully have the fuel in the car to go one more time.
Slayer Sports found a 10th of a second there, so he may protect himself from being overtaken by other drivers, but he didn't find any position, he didn't gain any positions there. Blair Grills, don't think this is an improvement. I think he's backing off a little bit. He's starting a little bit close to the Williams behind, and he's compromised the start of his lap there because he's exited that chicane very slowly, so he'll be losing time all the way down this straight. M-Shep is on another lap, as is Mike Noon, but John Menzies then is coming through turn number 9. I think the driver ahead of him on track is Chris Johnson on outlap, who's just gone for a spin. But John Menzies then has lost a lot of time in that second sector. I don't think this is going to be any kind of improvement for the Ferrari driver, and he's closer to Portugal than he is to the apex at turn 12. So I don't think this will be an improvement for him. M-Shep still keeps it valid though, so M-Shep through turn number 9. What's he done through the second sector?
Cena has had such a messy lap here, but he's still going to improve. He goes up into 5th, but he could have gone so much quicker.
So Cena then, another scruffy qualifying session, costing himself several positions as Wheelnut is done for the session. Bazet jumps up into 4th after spending the first 15 minutes on mediums. But M-Shep then around the final corner, he kind of messed up that chicane, but where can the Haas driver go? It is P5 for, as Chris Johnson is out of the session.
And
he's
Mike
gone
Noon
for a big crash. Mike
puts
Noon
it
then
on pole on a 1:17.1.
Can anyone deny him? John Menzies is a 10th of a second up after the first sector, and he's the only driver left to set a lap, and the only driver that could deny him. He's half a second down, so he's going to have to find some pretty big gain, and he doesn't really have any deployment left. He's losing time already. Now you can save up a bit of deployment in this final sector. You don't really use a whole lot of it. But where can the Ferrari driver find himself? He's already guaranteed the top 3, so he can push as hard as he likes. So, can he take Daniel P. Wheelnut off the front row of the grid? I don't think it's going to be enough for pole position unless he messed up his final sector in the previous lap. John Menzies then crosses the line, and it is... I think that was a front row.
I think, yeah, it is. I think it's a 1:17.188. I think he's 400ths behind Mike Noon, so it was a fantastic final sector by John, and there it is. There's the confirmation. So he does get the front row. Wheelnut is the most at the 3rd, but Cena is 7th out of another messy qualifying, and Dom is down in 10th place. Now, Dom crashed out the session, of course, but he is in 10th place. So will he get a fresh set of tyres, or will he have to still start on those ones?
I think that old trick is now gone. I don't think you can puncture your tyres and get a fresh set, which was a trick certain drivers did in the past. But well, there's your grid then. So Cena from P7, he tends to get good starts. So let's see where he ends up at turn number 1. It's a long run
Yeah.
Down to turn one, and we've got Parsa in P18, so he'll be one to watch.
No, football updates if anybody's interested. Still 0-0 between Real Madrid and Man City. Real Madrid almost scored there from a free kick. But we are focused now on the driving cars. Here we go. And I'm interested to see what this weather forecast is going to be like as well. As you say, there was a 22% chance of rain, and it certainly is a dry start. Going to have a look at stereogram stream, and also, yeah, same for him. It looks like it's going to be dry all the way through.
Well, thank you for the football update, Daniel. It was really playing on my mind. But as we get ready to go around Catalonia, final few seconds counting down. Yeah, fairly overcast day. Unlikely to have any sort of rain. But let's see. And it's a horrible position for Dom Smith to be in. P10. He would have much rather have been in 11th. But anyway, it is what it is as we get ready to go in Catalonia. Mike Noon on pole position, and we are underway, and it looks like a pretty solid start from the Williams driver. Now let's see, will anyone get a run down into turn number one? Cena's had a good start, he's up into 6th, but Wheelnut then getting pretty swamped into turn 1. He's already down into 4th as Cena, I think, will try to go around the outside of turn number 2, which becomes the inside for turn 3, but Wheelnut will have the momentum, or will he? Cena has the inside line, and indeed he takes the position from Wheelnut. He kind of has to make these moves now because the championship is sort of slipping away from Cena, because Wheelnut has had such a good run in previous races, but at the front it's as you were.
Vital move by Cena, wasn't it? And at the start he had a great launch, but then tapped the back of Shep slightly when he was trying to gain the speed, and I thought that was going to set him back, but he still managed to get up to 4th. Neljas crashed out, and will that be a safety car? But Cena closed in on Baz, and he's got the 2 Ferraris ahead of him. John trying to get past Mike Noon as well, but Cena once again dominant off the start.
Must be something about that AlphaTauri that gives you a nice clutch release. We have another crash.
Wheelnut has gone for a spin. I think he hit the curb and he's gone right round. I don't think he can make connection with anybody, but he's down to 30. There's teammate Kaya sends him one, and he's down to, and he's been back ahead of Kaya now, but this is a disaster for Wheelnut. Fantastic for Dom and for Cena.
So this is a real opportunity now for Dom and Cena, especially Cena, because he very much has the higher ground up in P4, and he's very close to the back of Baza up ahead of him. So Cena then, at the moment, looking like he has pretty strong race pace in that AlphaTauri. He's 1.5 seconds clear of Chris Johnson, and he's just within half a second of Baza in front. So Cena then, this is a real opportunity for the AlphaTauri driver.
Absolutely, big lock up there by somebody ahead. I think that might be Blair Girls in 6th place right now as Dom tries to close in on the guys ahead of him as well. Then Wheelnut is about to go for Red Bull Kim. Well, Red Bull Kim defending, going through turn 7 and 80, and he's actually really struggling to get through. He's losing so much time here, Wheelnut, and his race is evaporating before his eyes.
Can he make the move as Red Bull Kim, for whatever reason, is running overtake the entire time and is already out of deployment, as we see a move down the inside from M-Shep and Parsa.
Oh, it's College!
So somehow Daniel P. Wheelnut has overtaken the car, yet he has lost a position.
Oh, and Mike Noon's off the final bit of the chicane. He's in the gravel, and he's gone off, and he's down to 7th, 8th place.
I think he has all of his wing intact at least, so he's still in the race and still in a sort of okay position there, but I don't know what's going on here. I think other drivers letting each other through.
I think Dom had to give the place back there to Mike Noon for some reason, because he had to back off and let him through. But Dom's in 7th now, Mike Noon down into 6th place. Again, it must have been because of the yellow flag. So Cena now into a podium position then.
John Menzies leads the race. I mean, this will be first victory for John Menzies in quite some time. I'll have to get the stats for you on that one, but yeah, it's a Ferrari 1-2 at the moment. Not entirely sure we expected that, because
no way.
Yeah, Cena P3, Dom 7th, Wheelnut is, well, he's last. He's
pitted.
So he's pitted for medium tyres. I mean, to be honest, it's probably for the best, because he won't have to deal. Did he change his
He
wing?
changed his front wing as well. Yeah, I think in that turn 10 melee when it all got a bit crunchy. Yeah, there was like 4 cars, wasn't he, all going into each other. He hits one of them, and had to change his front wing. So he's at the back now.
I think Parson may have sandwiched him between himself and Red Bull Kim, or Parson just hit him anyway. But that's kind of what I got, because we saw an AlphaTauri randomly appearing as Chris Johnson now sets the fastest lap of the race. Mike Noon, straight immediately after his excursion, is already back on the pace now. He'll be motivated to get right back up to where his pace should have him. But in the lead then, it's very close between the top 3. I'm loving this. John Menzies and Baza and Cena. Of course, John Menzies, he's a reserve. He just kind of ends up in a different team every week. So the Baza won't care about John in terms of any kind of constructors battle. In fact, if anything, he'll be determined to get past him, because he'll get preference at the pit stops, particularly if there's a safety car, because the field is still pretty bunched up at the front. So Baza would definitely lose positions in that scenario, as Cena then, well, I think he'll be loving this position right now.
He will absolutely be loving it, and especially if we can get past these 2 Ferraris as well. What an incredible opportunity this is for Cena now to take 2nd place in the championship and close in a little bit on Wheelnut after Wheelnut's victory. As John comes in the pit lane, and that's an early stop, but of course it does free up Baza.
I hope he didn't hit the wall on the inside. Oh no!
But he got a penalty.
I was hoping he didn't hit the wall there. Now, I don't know if he really had the time to change. Yeah, no, he's not changing any front wing. It doesn't look like he has any damage on that left-hand side. It did just look from the camera angle that I had that he went a little bit quick into that entry. Mike Noon then right on the back of Blair Grylls with the dirty air washing the front end out at turn 3, so he will not be passing the McLaren this time around. But Baza then will not have any DRS to defend with from Cena behind.
Yeah, and he's not going to have a rear guard now as well, I suppose you could say, with John, because of that penalty. Well, actually, I suppose he still will, but it won't have an end result of the race, because it will add the 5-second penalty on at the end. But here's Cena then with DRS. He's only got 30% of his battery left. Late on the brakes, is he going to send one? Oh, he had to stop the car there.
Maybe, well, I mean, it looked like he made the apex, so maybe Baza was just a little bit tentative through that corner there. John Menzies picks up a track limit penalty, but Cena then certainly looks like he's going a bit quicker than the Ferrari in front, or at least has the capability of going a bit quicker than the Ferrari in front. But through that chicane, though, it looked like it was definitely Baza who had a slightly better exit. But then again, the telemetry says otherwise, as he has the DRS now. Cena, Baza only has his battery deployment to defend with. And around the outside then it is Cena who takes the lead in Catalonia. Baza tried to fight back on the brakes, but in the end it was not enough. Cena taking a lot of curb at turn 2, and yeah, I suppose if you do nail it, you can take curb around that corner. Mike Noon then around the outside at turn number 3, as Blair Grylls going to understeer into him almost, but not quite. Will they be side by side through turn number 4? Almost, but Blair Grylls just about keeps the position, but they're side by side again into turn number 5. Now, will Mike Noon get the better exit and get a run down into turn number 7? He's on the battery deployment. He's going to have the inside line, and Mike Noon eventually gets past, and he's up into P4. It's not quite over indeed, because Blair Grylls will have the DRS heading down into turn number 10 into the old hairpin, and well, now we can say Mike Noon definitely has the position, and he started that battle at turn number 1, and it wasn't resolved until turn number 7.
Well, that was a fun lap of racing, wasn't it? But meanwhile, Baza is not totally let Cena go, although he has a terrible exit for this game, and then he comes in the pit lane and wipes out the bollard as well then. So Chris Johnson, it's allowed him to close in a little bit as well. So Baza comes in then. Cena is going to have a lap here where you would assume he's going to try and push and give it absolutely everything.
Yeah, Cena then, it does look like he has more race pace when he has it all hooked up in comparison to the Ferraris, or at least that's how it appeared in the opening few laps then. But Cena, of course, the earlier you pit, the more risk you take in terms of being vulnerable to any kind of safety car detriment. So maybe Cena has that on his mind. We've already had a crash in this race. We saw some crashes in qualifying, of course. So attrition is something to factor in around here. But Chris Johnson then just falls out of that DRS range. Chris Johnson having a very solid race, I suppose.
Stereogram's gone for a spin at the back of the field, but Mike Nguyen has a 3-second penalty, by the way, and of course it's easy to get penalties around here, and it's starting to rack up a little bit now for some of the drivers. Mike Nguyen, Zafro, Indecisive, Shep, Schumacher, John Menzies, that's because of the Hig Gems FC on his name there. But let's see, is this going to be where Cena comes into the pit lane? You would imagine surely will in response to Bazza, and it is indeed.
So Chris Johnson then remains the last driver on, of the front runners who hasn't pitted. You get what I'm trying to say? Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Total brain fade. But Chris Johnson leads this race. He had DRS down that pit straight, so this would be good for him. As that
Bazza gets a penalty just as Cena is about to come out the pit lane. So even if Cena doesn't beat Bazza out the pits here, if he can stay within 3 seconds, it'll be fantastic for him. But Cena is going to be out ahead of one Ferrari, which is Bazza, and in between, behind the other one of John. But John, of course, also has a penalty. And can Cena get John immediately on the exit here? No, he can't. Now, can John cause a bit of a traffic jam here to allow Bazza to catch up?
And of course, worth pointing out, Cena has, I think it's 3 lap fresher tyres than John ahead of him. Now the mediums I don't think degrade all too much around this circuit, but this is still pretty good for Cena. He has the net lead of the race, unless there's a safety car, in which case Chris Johnson will find himself in a very handy position.
Well, Cena does not have a single warning in this race. And Stereogam, I think it's in the pit lane, isn't it?
Yeah,
he doesn't have a single warning, Cena. So he's got Bazza and John Menzies around him, who've both got penalties. Cena hasn't even picked up a warning. It's incredible, Cena. Sometimes he can be so inconsistent and he throws it in the wall every so often. But there's times where he actually just flies. And that's what we're seeing here right now. And it looks like he could be set to win this and really cements himself in the championship challenge here of this TGP2 season 31. Now, is he going to go for John Menzies to try and clear both Ferraris? It looks like he will, but can Bazza follow?
Bazza certainly trying his best to follow. Will he throw it up the inside of turn 1? Not really. Turn 1's not really that great an overtaking spot. It's downhill and it's a little bit quick. The braking zone's not actually that big. But crucially then for Bazza, there are no cars between himself and Cena. Now Bazza does have a 3-second penalty, but we still have a good bit of this race left to run. So Cena could very well pick up a penalty himself if he's not careful. But at the moment, it's advantage Cena.
It is indeed. And who's that? It's Zafro. Zafro's gone for a spin and he hasn't pitted yet. And that's a disappointment for him then. That's going to really cost him so much time. And he's lost it and he loses a lot of time. Cena already is on the back of him now. But he's still got Chris Johnson and Dom, who hasn't come in. Of course, they're both on the soft tyres. And we'll be interested to see where they come out and how much they can push in the final stages of the race. Mike Nguyen's going to close in on the Ferraris here now as well. And I think
Chris
Cena
pits. Sarah Sports went for a crash.
Cena's getting a little bit stuck here behind Zafro, who's of course just had that spin. Now, Zafro is on the medium tyres, so will he come in? Yeah, he does come in, and that will free up Cena then. But Bazza is going to have DRS down here, because so will Cena from being behind Zafro. So Dom comes in, Chris Johnson comes in, and we'll see where those guys come out. Chris Johnson has actually had an excellent stint here, and is he going to be out ahead of John? It's going to be close, side by side. Oh, he's just managed it. Just.
Yeah, and it looked like he just about gave John enough space. He was ahead into the corner from what I could see there. So Chris Johnson, he's got the freshest tyres of anybody in this top 4. Top 5 now, as Mike Nguyen is right on the back of John. So Mike Nguyen then still showing he has a lot of pace in that Williams. But Chris Johnson then, he's in a pretty good position here. His tyres a good bit fresher than the others. And Cena and Bazza could end up fighting each other here, because Cena just cannot break that 1 second barrier, although he is very close to it.
Yeah, it's absolutely right then. So, what happened?
I thought that was a move there. Mike Nguyen certainly thought about it. He altered his braking line there when he was behind the Ferrari. He did think about it, but was not able to pass John Menzies. So Mike Noon, he is very eager to make up the places here. He's almost pushing Menzies through turn 13 there. Can he get the exit he needs through this chicane? In fact, it does look like it's a pretty nice exit there, and I think this move will be fairly simple for the Williams driver. Indeed it is. Breezes past John there in the Ferrari. So Mike Noon up into P5, which is a net P4 then, because the leader on track, Indecisive Mackie, has yet to pit.
Yeah, I think he's the only guy yet to pit in this race. In fact, I think Kyle actually also still hasn't pitted on the soft tyres then, but Cena is closing in indecisively, and I don't think I mean, I know Baz has got the penalty behind, but Chris Johnson is catching up here, so I don't think Cena would want to get stuck behind Indecisive, because Chris Johnson is flying right now.
Yeah, Chris Johnson is flying right now, and Dom Smith made a little prediction before tonight and said Chris Johnson will win a race tonight. So who knows, maybe that prediction could come true, as we see then Cena behind Indecisive Mackie then. I thought he was going to go for it there, as Mackie clearly a good bit slower than these behind, as Baza is almost pushing Cena. Cena's pushing his luck through turn number 12, and now is this Chris Johnson making a move on Baza? Thought it may have been Chris Johnson. Cena. Then looks like he's the quickest driver.
Cena there, he lost it, and do you know what, I wonder if this is a plan from Dom's teammates, of course, who is of course Indecisive. Now is he saying stay out and make things life difficult here for Cena, who's of course challenging him in the championship? That could be what's going on here, you know, because this is going to allow Dom to catch up as well, and a few drivers ahead do have penalties. Is Cena going to make the move now? No, he still can't get past.
Indecisive Mackie losing these drivers a lot of time because of his tyre situation. But here's Cena down the inside, very nicely done, puts a car between himself and Baza. Now can Baza immediately respond? He'd have to throw it up the inside here. He did think about it.
Oh, Mike Noon's thrown it up the inside, and Chris Johnson and gets through.
So Mike Noon then, he did just set the fastest lap of the race then, so it's impossible to judge who actually has the pace right now. But Baza has actually passed Indecisive Mackie then. So Baza straight through as Mike Noon around the outside of the Alpine then, and will he outbrake him? No, as Indecisive Mackie breaks very, very late into turn number 10. Not quite sure what he was up to there, but I don't think any damage was done. I think Mike Noon will just about hold on to that position. He will have DRS on Baza in front, so I suppose Mike didn't really lose anything there, but that just felt a bit unnecessary, as
Indecisive does now pit. So Chris Johnson has actually lost quite a bit of ground there all of a sudden, hasn't he, to the top three. But we've got Baza closing on Cena here, but Mike Noon's closing in on Baza as well, the top three. In fact, is Baza going to go for Cena? He is! He's going to set one into turn one, and they're going to collide! Oh, he just gets away with it, Cena. Almost contact made, though. Can Mike Noon get a good exit out of turn 2 here to have a go into turn 4? He engages his DRS, and he's going to have a run.
Yeah, Mike Noon, prior to this corner, was looking the best on deployment, and to be honest, I think he is still, just by a few percent. So Mike Noon then, after his spin earlier on, is now right back in contention for race victory here. He's already back up into P2, and he's only half a second off Cena. But crucially, Cena and Chris Johnson do not have penalties.
Yeah, it's just so important at the minute. Now I'll have a look at the minute to see if Cena's actually even had any warnings yet, because last time I checked, of course, remember, he didn't even have a warning. But and of course, has Mike Noon picked up any further warnings during the race? Could he possibly be close to 2 penalties? In fact, actually, Mike Noon does have 2 penalties. Just had a quick look there. It's actually 6 seconds for Mike Noon.
So Mike Noon then, he's going to have to pull off something very special as he goes very deep into turn 13. Can he do the chicane nicely? He had a bit of a snap in the middle there, not what he wanted. And he does have a good bit more deployment compared to Cena. Cena was already on the deployment a good bit before Mike, but of course Mike has DRS down this straight. As you see Cena already derating Cena, he kind of knows that there's not really a whole lot of point defending it, and he must know that Mike Newton has the penalty. So there's no real point in him fighting too hard, and the same will go for Baza. So Cena then is still very much in the net lead of this race.
He is, but I mean, Mike Newton is flying because he had that spin. I mean, can he pull 6 seconds? If these guys were to start battling here, you know, Cena can't be too careful, because of course if he just lets Baza through, it makes it quite easy for Baza. He will have Chris Johnson on him, because Chris Johnson's also still right there. So So this is a fascinating sort of way this is going to play out here in these closing laps. Will he let Bazza just sail through? But then Chris Johnson is right on him. Let's not forget about John as well, who has penalties but is still in the mix. Fantastic end to this race.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. If Cena picks up one penalty, then that's Chris Johnson in the net lead of this race. As Mike Noon thought he was going to go for another excursion there. So Mike Noon very much on the limit. I think he's just trying to get to the line as quickly as he possibly can. Misses the first part of that chicane there and gets a terrible exit as he's all over the place. Will Cena be able to make the move as Mike goes a bit unnecessarily defensive there? I mean, Cena pretty much has the move done already, but will Bazza be able to get through on the Williams driver? Indeed he will, yes. He's down the inside, so Bazza is now up into P2. Cena somehow is back into the lead of this race with Bazza and Mike Noon right behind. Mike Noon then, I thought he was going to give it a go into turn 4, not quite. He is still slightly better on his deployment than the two ahead of him, but Mike Noon then of course with 6 seconds of penalties is well, he's not going to be too high up come the end of this race. But Chris Johnson then, if he can just somehow find a way to get behind Cena and get ahead of Cena, as Bazza picks up another
penalty,
3-second penalty. So Chris Johnson now comfortably in second place, because I believe John Menzies has 8 seconds of penalties. And even Blair Grills behind has penalties. Dom Smith not really a factor in this race. But
of course, that obviously does now mean that Bazza and Mike Noon, if they were to battle again, they would be racing for position now, because they both got 6 seconds. So there's a chance here for Mike Noon to finish ahead of Bazza. But Bazza's still right by. He just can't break away, can he? He just can't break away.
Can't break away, but he did get a decent exit there, and he may just about be able to stay ahead of Bazza. But then again, they're both very, very low on deployment, so Cena's got nothing left to defend with. And Cena, I think very wisely here, he's not really defending, because there's no point. Cena just needs to get from A to B, from here on out to the end of the race as quickly as he can.
You say that, but Chris Johnson's closing in, and Chris Johnson's got 40% energy.
Oh, okay.
Look how early Chris Johnson was on the brakes there into turn 4. He knows he doesn't have to be too late on the brakes at this stage, because if Mike Noon can just get past Cena, Chris Johnson could have a go at Cena on the final lap, and he's got so much more energy than the guys ahead.
That's a very good point, actually, yeah. So I think, honestly, from perhaps even this point onwards, from now onwards, Chris Johnson can probably just dump that battery deployment and hope he can find a way past. Mike Noon is a little bit better than those ahead of him. The top two are just in the teens in terms of their deployment. As Cena gets a bit of a slide through turn 12, and again, I think most drivers have at some point in this race. But Bazza then putting a bit of ground as almost contact between second and third there. Cena kind of out of rhythm there, but Chris Johnson, he's not had a good exit.
Cena's not within DRS. Cena had that moment, and he's not within DRS now, so Mike Noon will breeze through. In fact, he touched.
Chris Johnson.
Is Chris Johnson going to get through?
Can Chris Johnson get through here? Will Cena go defensive on Chris Johnson? Somehow, for some reason, he hasn't, but they've made contact, but somehow Chris Johnson has kept it under control. Now, will he use deployment heading into turn number 4? Surely he will. He has a little bit more than the AlphaTauri ahead of him. I don't know why he didn't try going forward there, because I'm not really sure where the moment is going to come here. He has the freshest tyres of everybody. He has more deployment than the cars ahead of him. He's got no penalties. So at the moment, this is the battle for the lead. Ironically, it's between third and fourth on track, but it's these two who are actually fighting for the win.
Absolutely amazing. This is amazing. And Chris Johnson, by the way, has 2 warnings. So, and there's the penalty. There's the penalty. Cena's just got to keep his head here and not make any stupid errors, because he's going to win it.
Yeah, all Cena has to do here, even if he gets a penalty now, Cena still has the net lead of the race, because the two ahead of him have 6 seconds. So Cena would have to pretty much bypass the chicane to get a penalty, and that was Mike Noon throwing it up the inside of Bazza. Has Bazza disconnected?
Bazza disconnected. I think he might have done, but Chris Johnson
Chris Johnson's gone for a spin. As Chris Johnson spins, I think Bazza's disconnected. Mike Noon will cross the line first, but he will not win the race, because Cena avoided all penalties in that race. So Cena wins in Spain. Mike Noon is second. Chris Johnson, with that spin at the end, ends up completing the podium in third. Dom finished fourth. Not entirely
Yeah.
sure how that's happened. With John finishing fifth. Baza, was that a disconnection from Baza? Surely it was, because he turned into a ghost at the end.
Yeah,
So
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the message say that he's
neither
left
did
the session,
I.
unless we were just too busy focusing on the race. Maybe that might be what happened, but that's a disaster for Baza to lose so many positions there because of a disconnection. Certainly, look at that, he's 6/10 behind John, so he wouldn't have lost fifth, and you have to imagine he probably wouldn't have lost fourth either. But that's what has happened, and Baza then finishes sixth. Dom's fourth. He was flying towards the end of the race. He had a lot of clean air ahead of him, and he was making a lot of inroads on the guys ahead. And of course, Blair Grills was ahead as well, but he DNF'd on the last lap at I think turn 8 it was. So Dom ends up fourth. Cena wins it, and Wheelnut, who of course we haven't really mentioned in the race since the instance at the start, finishes down in 8th. So damage limitation for Wheelnut.
Do you have confirmation from TGP's answer to Louise Goodman Johnners? He has confirmed that it was actually fuel. Baza ran out of fuel.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think of it. I never run out of fuel. I always end up gaining fuel back in the race.
Unless it's Zandvoort, I seem to never really think about the fuel. But of course, yeah, fuel can be a factor. I've never really known that to happen for the driver around Spain, though. I mean, it's also not really a race where you tend to see a lot of safety cars and VSCs, so sometimes it's never really worth going too low on the fuel around Spain. Certainly that's just my sort of experience anyway. But that's what's cost Baza out there.
Parsa picks up driver of the day, and I think Wheelnut he had the spin at the start and then just finished 8th. Nothing really happened from that spin onwards. But, I think that's the thing, though. The top 6 in that race, there was no real incident between them. I mean, Mike New went for a spin, but they kept it very together. Apart from Blair Grills, really, having that DNF on the final lap, they all just kept it together, which limited Wheelnut's progress.
It was really good battling between all of them. You've got to say, wasn't it? It was absolutely fantastic battling between the entire field in that race. We had that moment on the last lap with Chris Johnson and Cena where it looked like they were both going to go round. And of course, later in the lap, Chris Johnson did go round, but still managed to get a podium. And incredible race.
Yeah, I mean that was a fantastic display. And around Spain, of all circuits, not exactly renowned for its raceability, but hey ho. Don't quite have time to run through the full grid, but you can see it on your screen there. Alex Afro, I thought he started further down, to be honest, but he completes the top 10. Your DNFs in that race were Nell Jack, Stereogram and Blair Grills. Joe Sayer, I believe, completed the race, but it was a lap behind the leaders. Red Bull Kim picking up your final point.
So it's going to be Wheelnut then will finish the night, I believe, on 152 points. Cena will be on 141. And Dom will be on 128. And then, of course, we still got Jacko, who was on 115. So, a great night, you have to say, for Cena to get the second place and the win in Spain. Can Cena win this championship? He just gets consistency together. He absolutely can do this. Wheelnut, after that spin in Spain, damage limitation, still picked up a few points, and it has helped him keep a fairly decent lead in the championship, but certainly game on, isn't it, between 4 drivers right now?
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. Wheelnut, if he just keeps the consistency together, it does look good for him, but of course, it's still fairly early in the season, and we've got a lot of races left to go, but races like that that he had in Spain are not going to help, because even when he had it all together in Azerbaijan, it was Cena who was there on the podium with him, and Dom Smith picking up 3rd and 4th tonight. So the two of them had a consistent run behind, so Wheelnut just needs to cut the mistakes. But to be fair, up until now, it was a very impressive run from him. So I guess we'll see how the next races pan out, and next week we will be back for the races
United States
and Mexico. So off to North America next week. I believe the commentators for that will be
I think it's Owen and John, isn't it?
Owen and John. So neither of us will be back next
Yeah.
week. So do tune in to see none of us. But yeah, Owen and Johnners will be there to bring you live commentary from around 7:30 British and Irish time. Hopefully you will tune in. Hopefully you will see more fantastic racing. And from us here in the commentary box, good night.